Hi everybody, Jillian here for Illustrated Faith's Print and Pray Shop, and I thought it would be fun today to have you kind of peek over my shoulder as I'm working through my Postcards from Paul mini book. I'm using the Postcards from Paul digital devotional written by Brave Little Taylor that's available in the Print and Pray Shop. And so I already have a few pages in my mini book completed, and I thought, hey, why not share with you how I continue to work through and make some additional pages for my little mini book here. So before we go any further, here's a peek at some of the digital printables that come with Taylor's set. This is the size that they print to if you were to purchase them, download them, and print as is. But what I did to make my mini book was to blow up the cards a little bit bigger. You'll see that the title card here is the same size as this one, and that's about the size that I made all of the other postcards. So you can see here, this is the original size of the Macedonia postcard, for example, and I blew it up to about 3 by 4. And then I did the same thing with the blank postcards and then the ones that had scripture typed up on them. So I printed some of them on white cardstock like these, and then other pages I printed on clear sticker paper. And then I keep everything in this tray just so that I can grab it and go when I'm ready to work on it. So I've got some tools in here like my hole punch and my tape runner. I grabbed some of the Revival Camp stamps from last summer, which was travel themed. These go great alongside Taylor's printables. Another thing that coordinates really well are the journaling spots from the Big Story 1 devotional kit. These are available a la carte in the Illustrated Faith shop, and you'll see how I use these in a moment. And then every project needs an alpha stamp, right? So these are the Pepper alpha stamps, and they're the perfect size for this small format. In here I also have my patterned papers, some of the blank postcards that I'll use as journaling spots in my mini book, the patterned papers, did I just say that? And then some of these little banner flags. In my traveler's notebook are Taylor's devotional pages. So you get 4 pages of devotional content in the digital devotional, and as you can see, I'm about halfway through it. So while I've got the camera on, I'm just going to continue to read through the passages she directs us to. She asks some really great questions. This is such an interesting devotional. So the whole premise is Taylor is guiding us through Paul's second missionary journey that's recorded in Acts 15 to 18. And then she directs us to the corresponding letters that Paul writes to each of those churches. So the Macedonian churches in 2 Corinthians, the church in Philippi. And it's so cool to see the narrative of his travels next to his letters that he wrote when he visited those places. It's so interesting. Alright, so I've got my finished mini book here. Let's go ahead and flip through and take a look. I just used a piece of fabric and a little tassel to kind of dress up my binder ring here. I think this is a 1-inch ring. Got my title card on the front here. And then I used an index card and some of those Revival Camp passport stamps from last summer to create the back side of the title card. I also used some of the Big Story 2 washi tape and then some of the stickers that went along with last year's kit too. I've really been enjoying pulling leftover kit pieces lately into current projects I'm working on. Our first postcard. On the back, I jotted down one of Taylor's insights that she mentioned in the devotional. I definitely want to go back and work through that journaling prompt in my Bible. And then this is the printable that goes along with that postcard. So Paul addressing the Macedonian churches in 2 Corinthians. On the back side, I backed that with some patterned paper. And then next, Paul will go to Philippi. And so just like on this card, I noted Taylor's insight from his visit to Macedonia. I did the same thing here, but I just typed up on white cardstock the main idea I wanted to pull out of that, and I cut it into strips and adhered it to the patterned paper. So it corresponds here. On the back, we've got the postcard to the Philippians. And then you can see here I'm using one of the Big Story Part 1 journaling spots with the portrait of Lydia and just a little note about her. Again, as if Paul were keeping a scrapbook of his travels. I use that same technique with the typed journaling cut into strips, and then I used one of Taylor's titles. And we're on to Thessalonica, postcard on the back, so you can start to see this same formula here. I worked through Taylor's journaling prompt on this card, and then we move on to Berea. So again, pulling out on the corresponding or the facing patterned paper, my journaling on typed up strips of paper, the postcard on the back, and then more journaling spots. I loved this this title. It was just so beautiful. I definitely wanted to feature it. And then on the back, I layered a bunch of stickers that I had left over from last year's Revival Camp kit. I worked through one of the journaling prompts here, and then Paul is on to Athens again with my journaling typed up, the postcard, text on the back. I had prematurely punched holes in a lot of these cards before I even started assembling this. This was one of those cards I realized, oh, if I punch a hole in every single card, that first of all, they're going to have holes in all the same spots, and I won't be able to move them around front and back. So I just took one of her little labels here and taped it over the the hole. Another one of the Big Story journaling prompts, and layered with some washi tape and some of her art, a little geotag to give a little more information about this area where Paul was preaching. And then on the back side, I used the packaging from the journaling spots and then put my typed journaling on there. And then the last one, Greetings from Corinth. We've got the postcard on the back here, the portrait of Paul, Priscilla, and Aquila. I used the little Caesar banner flag here, noted community is vital to healthy ministry, and then I recorded God's interaction with Paul in Acts 18, 9, and 10. And then on the back here, this is just the back side that I had printed the patterned paper on. I had originally mistakenly been using this to stamp off the passport stamps that I was using, and then I turned it over and realized, whoops, that was patterned paper. But then I kind of just embraced it, and I kept it here as my final page, as you know, as if it were the back of a passport, which would have a bunch of stamps in it. I included again another illustration of Paul here, just like I did in the beginning, and then added some of the branches from Taylor's illustrations. So that is my little mini book. I'm so excited to work through the journaling prompts over in my Bible. Definitely tons to chew on here. Taylor does such a great job of guiding us through the scriptures, and this devotional is no exception. So if you want to pick it up, it's listed in the video description in the box below the video if you want to check it out. And I'd really encourage you to follow Taylor at Brave Little Taylor over on Instagram, because she shares some amazing additional insights as she journals through Postcards from Paul also. So that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you soon.